Your rubber soles are just squeaking against the smooth floor as you walk up that famous continuous spiral ramp of the Guggenheim Museum in New York.
Oh yeah, that classic sound.
Right. And the walls curving around you are just, they're pristine, completely bright white, perfectly illuminated, and totally spotless.
Very sterile.
Exactly. So you turn this sharp corner expecting to see, I don't know, a delicate abstract painting or maybe this elegant muted sculpture. But instead, you are suddenly assaulted by what basically looks like a gruesome medical dissection.
It is
It
jarring.
really is. Pinned violently to this immaculate white gallery wall is this sprawling, brightly colored mass. It looks like exposed nerves, thick red arteries, and twisted intestines.
Just visceral gore right in the middle of this pristine space.
Yeah. And you step closer, bracing yourself for the metallic smell of blood or maybe formaldehyde. But the scent that actually hits you, it's pure synthetic petroleum.
Because it's completely artificial.
Right. What you are looking at is an arrangement of exactly 287 pieces of melted, burnt plastic, meticulously designed to look like human guts.
Which is just, it's this profound neurological collision. Your brain instantly registers biological vulnerability, you know?
Yeah, you see fragile human tissue.
Exactly, the very stuff that keeps you alive. But the physical reality confronting you is entirely manufactured. It's just polymers and artificial dyes disguised as the core of our humanity. The tension there between the organic and the synthetic is, well, it's suffocating.
It really is. And that jarring collision, it isn't just a provocation for the sake of shock value. It is the anchor for our deep dive today.
Absolutely.
Our source material is this incredibly thought-provoking short-form essay by the Chicago author and educator John Novick Jr. It's from his America Actually series.
A fantastic series, by the way.
Oh, so good. And Novick wrote this essay right after he was stopped in his tracks by this exact exhibit. The piece is called Plastic Pieces 287, which was created by the contemporary Beijing artist Gu Dexin.
An incredibly important artist.
For sure. So the mission for our deep dive today is to take Novick's essay and really explore how this specific pile of burnt plastic forces us to confront the uncomfortable ways we commodify our own lives. We'll get into the hidden behavioral psychology driving our digital identities, and ultimately where we can find authentic hope in a hyper-commercialized world.
It's a lot to unpack, but it's so relevant to you, the listener, and really everyone navigating today's world.
Definitely. Okay, let's unpack this, because to really understand the weight of Novick's essay, we have to start with the radical backstory of the artist himself.
Right. So Gu Dexin was this massive figure in the global contemporary art scene. His work was exhibited everywhere. But in 2009, he made this extreme, completely uncompromising statement.
He just quit, didn't he?
He completely quit creating art. And, I mean, he didn't just take a sabbatical. He stopped producing entirely. Yeah. He looked at the global art market. He looked at the mechanics of consumerism, and he just walked away. He concluded that in a world rampant with commodification, the only way to avoid being a product was to refuse to produce anything at all.
Okay, I have to challenge this premise intellectually right out of the gate here. Let's be real. Artists have always sold their work.
Sure, they have.
Like, Michelangelo didn't paint the Sistine Chapel out of the goodness of his heart, you know? He had very wealthy patrons demanding his labor.
Right, the Medici family and the Pope.
Exactly. And Shakespeare wrote plays specifically to sell tickets to the masses. Artists need to eat. So why is Gu Dexin quitting treated by art historians and by writers like Novick as this profound moral statement about society, and not just an artist who got burnt out, frustrated with his gallery, and just wanted to retire to the countryside?
I totally get that. And that pushback actually gets to the very heart of what Novick is analyzing in the essay. Yes, Michelangelo had patrons, but the transaction was largely confined to the physical canvas or the fresco. Right? The artist sold the object. But what Gu Dexin observed by 2009 was that the underlying logic of the marketplace had fundamentally changed. It wasn't just dictating the price of an object anymore.
It was bigger than that.
Much bigger. Consumerism had morphed into an identity. He saw that we were no longer just buying things to use them. We were fundamentally becoming the things we consumed.
You mean the marketplace was starting to dictate the value of human existence itself?
Precisely. It wasn't about selling a canvas anymore. It was this terrifying realization that human biology, our actual messy lived experience, was being swapped out for manufactured permanence.
Which goes back to the plastic guts.
Exactly. Think about why he used burnt plastic to sculpt human intestines. Human biology is, well, it's deeply terrifying if you really strip away our modern comforts and think about it.
Oh, for sure.
Our guts get sick, they require constant care, they age, they rot, and they inevitably fail.
And we are collectively terrified of that biological fragility. I mean, nobody wants to think about their own decay.
No one. We will do almost anything to avoid thinking about it. So what is the psychological defense mechanism? We run toward indestructible petroleum products.
We want the plastic.
We crave the false permanence of plastic because it doesn't decay. A plastic chair will sit in a landfill for 10,000 years without changing.
Right.
And subconsciously, by surrounding ourselves with the pristine things that don't die, we attempt to hide from our own inevitable death. We try to swap the messy, painful reality of being human for the clean, immortal illusion of plastic.
That makes so much sense.
And this is exactly the psychological terror Novick captures in his essay. He points out, and I'll quote Novick directly here, he mentions, quote, "the lengths to which we may subconsciously go to repress that truth and seek even a false sense of permanence, even if doing so leaves us plastic inside and out."
Plastic inside and out. That is a chilling image.
It really is.
You start out buying a plastic phone case, and you end up molding your own personality to be just as smooth and frictionless. So what does this all mean for us today? Because if we look at the timeline, Dexin quit in 2009. That is the exact moment social media was exploding from a niche college networking tool into a global infrastructure.
Yeah, the timing is unbelievable.
Right. The first iPhone had just dropped a couple of years prior. It feels like he looked at where we were headed and realized we were about to turn this psychological machinery completely inward.
What's fascinating here is that timing. He quit right on the precipice of the grand digital shift.
Ugh.
Before 2009, we mostly objectified the physical world. You bought a luxury watch or a sports car to feel important and permanent.
Status symbols.
Exactly. But with the advent of the algorithmic feed, we moved from objectifying the world to objectifying ourselves.
We literally became the inventory.
We did.
We are now running full-scale personal PR firms out of our pockets. Think about how this operates on a daily basis for you or me. You experience a moment, maybe a beautiful sunset or a great meal with a friend, and instead of just experiencing it as a biological human being, the brain instantly evaluates its market value.
Right. How many likes will this get?
Yes. We treat our own memories as raw material to be packaged, filtered, and published to an audience. And Novick directly questions this shift in the essay, asking how we can move beyond mere transactional relationships and, as he calls it, quote, an ethic of tags, likes, and streaks.
That word ethic is really crucial to unpack there. An ethic is your moral framework. It's the system you use to define what is valuable, what is good, and what is meaningless.
So when it's just tags and likes?
When your ethic is defined by tags and likes, you have literally outsourced your moral framework to a corporate algorithm.
Wow.
Let's look at the mechanics of a Snapchat streak, for example.
Mm-hmm.
It is a masterpiece of behavioral psychology.
Right, because it's not just a cute feature, it's a very deliberate trap.
Oh, absolutely. It operates on what psychologists call a variable schedule of reinforcement, mixed heavily with loss aversion. The algorithm manufactures a false obligation for daily active users.
It tricks you.
It takes your fundamental, beautiful human desire for connection and turns it into a synthetic metric. You aren't messaging your friend because you have something meaningful to say. You're messaging them to keep a tiny digital flame emoji from disappearing.
That is so dark when you put it like that.
But it's true. The platform hijacks your biology, that little dopamine hit you get when the number goes up, and uses it for their own data harvesting.
It's not a relationship at all. It's a synthetic nerve pinned to a digital wall. It looks like human connection, just like Gu Dexin's plastic looked like human guts, but the smell is pure commercial petroleum.
That's a perfect way to phrase it. And this is where Novick's analysis reaches its most critical point regarding the environment we are currently living in. He pulls no punches about who is responsible for this architecture.
He really goes after them, right?
He does. He lays out the severity of this crisis perfectly in the essay. He writes, quote, "Not only have we been groomed psychologically to commodify our own lives, but today our lived experiences and even our unique human identities are being relentlessly commodified by big tech and businesses in every field, for profit, starting in childhood, with failed political leadership, wholly incapable or disinterested in regulating the cheap commercialization of humanity."
Wow. Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Because you and I, and the adults listening to this, we grew up before this digital plastic had fully melted over everything.
We do.
We remember the before.
We do.
We remember when taking a photograph meant dropping off a physical roll of film and waiting 3 days to see if your eyes were closed.
The anxiety of the photo lab.
Yes. But there's an entire generation being born into this reality right now. Kids are literally being born into this pre-melted plastic world where their baby photos are already optimized for engagement.
It's their default state.
Right. So how do we interrupt the machine? If you're a parent or an educator, how do you handle this generational crisis? Because simply being the authoritarian who yells across the dinner table to put the phone away clearly isn't working.
It doesn't work because it doesn't address the underlying psychological drive.
Yeah.
Telling a teenager to just put the screen down is like telling someone in the casino to just stop pulling the slot machine lever.
Right. Good luck with that.
Exactly. You are fighting against billions of dollars of optimized behavioral engineering. Novik's practical advice, drawn from his own time as an educator, is that you have to actively demystify the attention economy for them. You have to pull back the curtain on this multi-trillion-dollar machine and show them the gears.
We have to show them that they are the product being mined.
You show them the business model. You ask them, why do you think this corporation designed this app to make you feel anxious if you lose this little fire emoji next to your friend's name? What do they gain financially from your anxiety?
That's a great question to ask.
You shift them from being passive consumers of a shiny digital reward to being active, skeptical critics of the algorithm's architecture. Once they see the strings, the puppet show loses its magic.
But to even have that conversation, you have to escape the hypocrisy trap. You cannot critique a teenager's digital commodification if you are sitting at the same dinner table, physically scrolling through your own curated feeds, checking your own likes.
Oh, the kids will see right through that.
Exactly. We have to physically model the alternative. Think about it like standing at the edge of a breathtaking cliff on a hike. You hike up there, your muscles are burning, the wind is in your face, the horizon is endless.
A truly beautiful moment.
Right. But the immediate conditioned reflex today is to pull out the phone, frame the shot, add the geolocation tag, slap a filter on it, and wait for the dopamine hit of external validation from an unseen audience.
Because it's a compulsion. It's the anxiety that if the moment isn't recorded and validated by others, it somehow didn't happen or it lacked value.
But we have to physically model that a moment can just exist. You can stand at the edge of that cliff, look at the horizon, and just let the memory exist quietly in your own decaying biological brain.
It doesn't need to be published to be real.
Exactly. The sheer discipline it takes to just be in a moment without extracting data from it, without producing value for an audience, is a massive act of rebellion right now.
It is. But this raises an important question, though. Theory is wonderful, but reality can be pretty bleak.
Yeah, fair enough.
When you walk onto a subway car during rush hour and you see a sea of faces silently illuminated by the blue glow of their screens, completely disconnected from the physical space they occupy, it is very easy to feel a sense of profound despair.
Oh, I know that feeling.
It feels like Gu Dexin's stark warning from 2009 was completely ignored, and society just accelerated the very systems he protested against.
I feel that despair constantly. You look around the subway car and wonder if we are just doomed to be synthetic forever. Did the plastic win? Have we permanently outsourced our humanity to the servers in Silicon Valley?
Novik acknowledges that heavy despair, but he absolutely doesn't end there. Operating on the ground with young people every day, he identifies a highly observant grassroots source of optimism. He sees a youth counterculture that is actively pushing back against the sterile perfection of the digital world.
But let me push back on that for a second. When you read the essay, his example of this counterculture isn't some new decentralized app or a sweeping tech privacy policy. It's thrifting and mending clothes.
Right.
I read that and thought, hold on. I see the subway car of digital zombies, and you're telling me sewing a patch on a denim jacket is the counter-revolution. That feels incredibly quaint compared to a trillion-dollar tech monopoly.
I get why you'd think that. It sounds quaint until you look at the deep psychological mechanisms driving it. Think about the fundamental nature of a digital algorithmic feed. It is frictionless, it is instant, it is flawless, and it is entirely disposable.
Hey, you just swipe it away.
Exactly. You scroll past a perfectly edited image, and it is gone forever into the void. It costs you nothing in terms of effort. But a mended piece of clothing operates on the exact opposite logic.
Because when you sit down to mend a torn jacket, you are deliberately choosing to engage with friction.
You are.
Yeah.
You are interacting with the physical history of an object. Threading a needle takes focus. Pushing it through thick denim takes physical effort, and most crucially, you are embracing a radical acceptance of wear and tear.
Which digital culture hates.
Right. When you stitch a patch over a hole, you aren't making the jacket look brand new.
Hmm.
A stitched, mended tear is a visible scar. It's undeniable proof of decay, of time passing, of a body moving through the physical world.
And it proves that just because something fails or breaks or ages, it doesn't render it worthless. That is such a powerful counter-narrative to the logic of the digital self. The digital self demands absolute perfection. It demands that you smooth out every wrinkle, hide every flaw with a filter, and present this immortal facade. But the mended jacket says, I am flawed, I am decaying, I have history, and I still have immense value.
It completely breaks the exhausting hollow spell of the synthetic digital identity. People, especially younger generations, are realizing that living your entire life as a curated, frictionless brand is incredibly lonely.
It's exhausting.
It lacks all authenticity. This mending counterculture is a physical, tactile turn back toward real, vulnerable biology. It is a rejection of the pristine plastic in favor of the messy organic reality, even when, or perhaps especially when, that reality is visibly flawed.
Which brings us to the philosophical core of Novik's ultimate source of hope. When he looks for a way out of this crisis, he doesn't look to Silicon Valley to save us from the problems Silicon Valley created.
No, definitely not.
He looks to the humanities. He looks to the messy, unquantifiable nature of the human spirit. I want to quote Novik directly here, because this line is just a beautiful summation of the entire piece. He writes, quote, "And I'm reminded and heartened that as long as they're flawed and frail and desperate artists and poets, composers, philosophers, and theologians, there will be hope."
That's a beautiful line.
Mm.
Because frailty is the cost of admission to being human. The machinery of commerce and big tech wants to categorize us, to turn our behaviors into predictable data points, to make us efficient and permanent like
Don't
plastic.
need inventory.
Right. But the artists, the philosophers, the theologians, they deal in the unquantifiable. They deal in grief, in awe, in love, in the terror of mortality. You cannot optimize a poem for maximum algorithmic engagement without completely destroying its soul.
And when you look at it through that lens, Gu Dexin's silence back in 2009 wasn't a failure at all. He wasn't just throwing a tantrum and giving up.
Far from it.
By refusing to create another object for the market to consume, and by forcing us to look at those horrifying petroleum-scented plastic organs, he was acting as that flawed, desperate philosopher. He was sounding the alarm. He was demanding the society wake up to what it was actively doing to itself before the plastic hardened completely.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, recognizing our own digital plastic is the very first step toward dismantling it. You cannot reclaim genuine human connection or true biological vulnerability until you realize how deeply you've been incentivized to hide behind a synthetic, curated version of yourself.
Yeah, that's the trap.
The algorithm wants you smooth and flawless. Biology requires you to be messy and real.
So we've covered incredible ground today. We started with the visceral shock of smelling burnt petroleum disguised as human guts in the Guggenheim. We explored how Gu Dexin's uncompromising 2009 protest against consumerism perfectly predicted the unchecked commodification of our digital identities today.
It really was prophetic.
It was. We unpacked the psychological trap of seeking false permanence to hide from our own mortality. We talked about the vital, immediate importance of demystifying the attention economy for the next generation. And finally, we found a quiet, powerful rebellion in the friction of a mended jacket and the enduring vulnerability of the humanities.
It's a vital reminder that to be human is to be inherently fragile, and that fragility is not a bug to be fixed by an app.
No, it's not.
It is not something to be paved over with an ethic of likes, tags, and streaks.
Yeah.
It is the very source of our connection to one another.
So we want to leave you with a final provocative thought to mull over as you return to your screens, your feeds, and the digital routines of your day. It builds directly on Gu Dexin's uncompromising refusal to participate in the machinery. If your digital identity is the art that you painstakingly curate, optimize, and publish every single day for an unseen audience, what would it actually look like for you to radically retire from your own self-commodification tomorrow morning?
It's a profound challenge. What does your life actually look like, and how does it feel when you completely stop trying to prove that it has value to the algorithm?
Thank you so much for taking this deep dive with us today. The next time you find yourself at the edge of a cliff or eating a beautiful meal, framing up that perfect moment for a digital feed, remember the smell of that synthetic petroleum on the pristine white wall. Give yourself permission to put the phone in your pocket, let the moment live, let it breathe, and let it decay beautifully in the real world. Catch you on the next one.